Hey guys, hello everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to the weekly crypto session where I'm your host Diksha. I'm the PR manager at Play.io. So in this session, we generally talk about what's happened in the Indian market, what's happened in the global market, because in the end, everything is related, right? So that's why I try to cover things that have happened globally and sort of relate them to how all of this would impact the Indian market. And not to forget that Indian market's really growing. The crypto there, right from the rising trading volumes to a lot of VCs investing. Obviously, a lot of partnerships have been happening. Like a lot of global companies have been partnering with a lot of Indian companies, Indian crypto or blockchain companies. Also, a lot of Indian companies have announced that they're going to be building blockchain networks, like huge blockchain networks. Reliance has announced that. Also, Tech Mahindra, which is one of the largest IT firms in India. Whoever is, if you're from India, you would know that company. They're primarily into it's like a huge group. Like they're into hospitality as well, but they also have a branch which is IT related, and they've announced that they're going to be releasing a lot of online courses to to enhance the education, the blockchain education system in the country, because right now since everything is so new and people are still learning about it. Not like everyone doesn't know what it means and how it runs and how it's going to benefit, the larger picture. So yes, there are a lot of other exciting news that I'll be covering in the session as well. So yeah, before I do that, right, in my last session, I talked about the basics of trading, um, which was I really enjoyed doing it actually, and where even I got to research a lot. Which coins should we start with? How should we start with? And what are the things that we keep in mind if we are beginners? I think it was really a nice session, and I'd be doing like a part two of basics of trading, probably in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Right. So let's look at some of the global news before we get into specific news from India. So obviously, Bitcoin, it has created, it fell down by more than $800 in just a few minutes yesterday. Yes, it touched 10,000 and then again fell. There's a lot that Bitcoin that's happening when it comes to the price of Bitcoin, right from the major sharp fall that happened in March, then eventually which it recovered, but then it's still there's a lot of volatility associated. It's still resistant, hasn't really able to uh, you know sustain the 10,000 more than $10,000 position. And there are a lot of reasons behind it. Obviously, the global pandemic, and obviously, things have been changing. The uncertainty in the overall financial market is very huge at this point. So obviously, it's going to affect the leading cryptocurrency that we're talking about, which is Bitcoin, and also there are other things. For example, um, you know, China being so progressive about it, about their digital currency announcement and how they're working on it. Also, the things that are happening in the US, it's all created like a lot of confusion, a lot of anxiety, and that's the reason there's so much happening when it comes to the Bitcoin price. Even though I would say Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have they have surged a lot in the last week, and but there's still a lot of I was reading there are a lot of indicators, like technical indicators, that say that's still going to be resistant for a longer period of time. obviously because of so many issues that are going on in the world generally. On the other hand, I also came across, um, about this one of the closely watched Bitcoin analysts. He's an anonymous strategist. He released an update, I think, on Twitter saying that Bitcoin could be, could surge to about $100,000. So everything is just not negative. There are indicators that are telling it's going to be resistant, and there are people who are really positive about it. So yeah, let's see what happens. So by the way, right after the Bitcoin halving, there was a very interesting article in Cointelegraph about how the price is how the Bitcoin is gonna behave when it comes to its price. And our CMO Marie, she had commented, and she had given some really good insights around that. I think all of you should read that article. It's really nice. And on top of that, we also released our own Bitcoin halving research report, which talked about all the influences around Bitcoin halving. It also had a detailed section on how the price will behave in next 18 months or next 2 years. So yeah, I mean that will give you I always say that there's so many predictions around Bitcoin prices and even like general altcoin prices, but these predictions, sometimes they're just noise, because unless you have like really strong, solid technical proof or analysis, backed by some real solid machine learning models, you cannot really predict something like that. I mean, uh, just based on what you're thinking on, or so yeah, it has to be backed by real detailed technical analysis, which has to come with very rich data and like a long-term data, like at least 1 year, of data should be involved in such analysis, because otherwise it's really not useful. So that's why our research that we've done, our research team has really done a good job in that report, because they have analyzed the price, they have studied previous halvings, they've also talked about why after this halving it's not going to behave, it might not behave the way it behaved in the previous two halvings. So yeah. Now moving on, almost an outbreak of tweet when the Goldman Sachs described that according to them Bitcoin is not an asset. They basically just said that cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, are not an asset class, and so there was a certain outbreak, and people talked about it, and there were also a lot of noise around how they had a blockchain division in their own company. So it's like at some point they were really positive about it, and now it's like really weird. So yeah, and they talked about a lot of things in that call, actually, which came up in a report. Things like Bitcoin is not an asset class because they don't generate cash flow like bonds. The volatility is very high, and it on March 12th, apparently the Bitcoin price fell 37%. So that's something they mentioned, and they're like quite not happy about it. So that's why they made such a statement. Like, there are a lot of reasons, but I think that they do not evaluate Bitcoin on its actual features, because Bitcoin is really important and is what it is today because of the technology behind it. And some of these signs that they talked about are obviously because of different reason, and also because the industry is maturing and it's not there yet. Yeah. So yeah, but this is something that really created a lot of noise last week. Also, The Grayscale Investments, which is a which Bitcoin trust has purchased a lot of bitcoins, like 1.5 times the number of bitcoins that have already been mined, which is really exciting, right? Because I think it indicates that there's a strong, I would say there's a strong institutional demand for Bitcoin. That's a reason they would purchase it. And I think the post COVID-19 window is going to be really nice for the industry. So I mean that's something that you can say. Something like this could indicate that there can be a lot of positives, after the crisis or even amid the crisis as we move ahead in the year. Also, the Ethereum Foundation, they announced that they would want to deliver the DEF CON Summit 2021. It's a huge event that they organize, and they're really positive that the event will happen next year. Let's see. It just depends. It really depends. Some of these events. We're also very excited and to attend some of the in-person events that we have been attending till now. But it really depends on how the COVID treatments or the vaccine would pan out. Also, something very interesting came up is that Russia is one of the very important markets for us and for crypto overall. They had probably posted an updated version of a particular law that's not really passed, but it's they mentioned that there could be a lot of regulation around cryptocurrencies, even though it didn't clarify, and it still sort of said that Russians can still hold cryptocurrencies without really worrying. But yeah, I mean, a lot of developments happening. So let's move. So these were some of the some of the updates from the huge economies in the world and what they're doing in this field. Now let us see what happened in India. So as I said, Tech Mahindra, which is an IT arm of the Mahindra Group, which is a huge company in India. They'll begin offering curated blockchain courses, cryptocurrency courses. That will include like the certification on blockchain, which will also include like live online classes where you can learn basics of trading, the technology behind cryptocurrency, digital assets, and things like that from experts in the industry. And this has been announced in an effort to boost the skills of both professionals who are in the industry and also the students who want to be in crypto. So as I said, the cryptocurrency market is really expected to grow significantly this year. There was also an analysis done by a crypto research company. It's a global company on the Indian crypto sectors and who are the major players. What are the challenges that could come up while we're talking about all the growth and all the positive scenarios, and the rapid development of the country's crypto ecosystem. And obviously, some of the factors stood out that really indicate that the growth is going to happen and they're going to be huge growth. And since we can already see that there's so many companies that are so interested in the market, and some of the important factors are the improved regulatory framework in India. Obviously, after so many clarifications of RBI, like repeated announcements that they have lifted the ban on cryptocurrencies, it's very clear that the government is supporting it. And also the instability of the Indian currency due to COVID-19 is one reason, and obviously the remittances, the cross-border transactions, are huge in India. That's also one of the reasons, why everyone's believing and everyone's betting on the Indian crypto market so much, and people are really investing so much. So yeah. Well, let's see why can crypto be a revolution in developing economies like India? Because when we're talking about India, we must remember there are a lot of similar markets in Asia, and if something if crypto really gets its due and the way it's planned for this year and couple of 2-3 years, it can really repeat in some of other economies, some of the developing economies. The use case can really repeat itself, and we should really study it properly so that countries are well prepared. And it's also um, it also help traders in other developing economies to see the behavior in a similar economy. Yeah. So if you actually see, there's so many people in India and even globally that are unbanked, that and the financial sector has really not been able to address this issue, the global unbanked population. So it stands at about 1.7 billion approximately globally. And what it means is that they lack a bank account, they don't have a credit card or a debit card. I mean, they don't really have like a financial support or an ecosystem, like a standard ecosystem, like all of us have. So yeah, and there are limits to engage in the global economy, and to grow their small businesses or big businesses. They're really limited. Without having a bank account, what really can you do? So that's why in and obviously developing economies have more of such people. I think more than 40% of this number is in developing economies. So cryptocurrencies are going to be really important. They're going to be providing a new way to for them to enter the global market, not just the national market, but also the international market. And yeah, and then they can actually really transact money without having a bank account or without having a credit card. Yeah. And also with the employment levels rising due to COVID-19, um, this is going to be even more important. Also, there's something very interesting, while I was studying this trend, that millennials are apparently, are really excited about this trend, and they are the real investors when it comes to developing economies. Because, if you actually see, they have been subjected to so many recessions, right? Be it the post 9/11 recession, or it be the 2008 financial crisis that happened. And now, yeah, there's another recession that's already there, is due to the COVID-19. So obviously their enthusiasm for crypto is going to be higher than the baby boomers probably, because obviously, since they face so much, they have seen so many recession periods. They're going to be more risk averse, more, and obviously they're very tech savvy, because in all these economies, like developing economies, most of the millennials are running the tech startups or the tech companies. Yeah. So they actually see crypto as an alternative, to save them from these crises that's happening. It's really happened so many times with them, as I said. So something like a standard financial system has obviously not able to address this issue. So crypto could be an alternative here. And also, let's talk about the Bitcoin mining, and why India really should enter Bitcoin mining space. After the recent halving, Bitcoin reduced miners fee by half. That's really what it means. So if, for example, the Bitcoin halving happened on May 11th, and up till then, if a miner would get a reward for $12, they will now get a reward of $6. uh, so yeah, the blocks have been halved. So bitcoins are really limited in circulation after the halving, and 80% of them have already been mined, so costs of mining are really rising. Well, it's just not about Bitcoin mining, it's also about mining of other currencies. And I think India has a great potential, to enter mining, because of the cost effective nature and the cost effective ecosystem that it could really provide to the sector, to the mining sector, crypto mining sector. So yeah, let's wait and watch. Where will the country head in the crypto mining sector? All right. So before I conclude this, I really want to talk about some of the altcoins that are really good to invest in at this point of time, like, as we speak. I know I talked about the famous altcoins in India in one of my previous sessions, but um, that's like really a long term thing, and I'm really gonna cover some of the short term. um, you know it's like, these altcoins are really um, get you benefits at this point, and that's why you should be investing in them, during this period of time. So it's like a very short term strategy that could be adapted. So yeah, I mean, recently we saw that Kyber Network coin, which is KNC, um, it survived the coronavirus-led recession and it's probably one of the fastest growing altcoins. So it becomes really a good option to invest in. Also, the Republic Network REN is launching their mainnet, so probably investing it just before the launch could be a good idea. Yeah, so these two are some these two are the coins, two altcoins that we can probably invest in at this point of time. And obviously you can refer to my previous session to understand what are the famous coins in India based on trading volume. So that was it for today. Have a safe day and enjoy yourself. Bye bye.